Hi, and thanks for joining us today on Don't Let Grants Stress You Out. Today we'll be talking about how to create relationships with grantmakers. As a grant professional, you'll be always keeping your eye out for new funding opportunities. So whether you're in a database doing research or you get an email sharing new grant opportunities with you, when you find an opportunity that you're interested in applying for, it's time to think about how to create grantmaker relationships before you start writing. Your first step in trying to identify what sort of relationship you might be able to build with the grant maker is to understand what is their communication preference and capacity. So you want to read their guidelines to find out whether or not they are willing to let you phone them or drop them an email or maybe even meet them in person at a funder event. And of course, there's those grant makers, when you read their guidelines, you will learn have no preference or capacity for communication prior to receiving your application. So then the big question is, should you still apply when you've had no opportunity to talk with the grant maker prior? That's one that really is going to fall to you and your organization to make a decision about. When you find a grant maker that does allow for communication prior to applying, you want to find out who knows whom. So if you don't know who on your board or staff already knows someone at a foundation, you can use what we call a grant maker questionnaire to identify those potential relationships for a warm introduction. So share the list of the foundation board and staff with your board and staff to see if you can find any points of connection and whether or not they'd be willing to make that introduction for you. While you're waiting to hear back from your colleagues about what relationships they might already have in place with the foundation, you can start to create your talking points. Your talking points should have three main components: a quick introduction, sharing why based on your research you think that your organization is a fit with theirs, and then also a few thoughtful questions that would help you understand your competitiveness and think about how you will customize your application for them. Once your talking points are done, it's time to think about actually picking up the phone and talking to the grant maker. So go old school, pick up the phone, use your talking points, and see what the grant maker has to say. Unless, of course, you learned through researching their guidelines that the grant maker prefers that you start with email. Then use those talking points to craft your email instead. Based on the conversation that you have with the grant maker on the phone or potentially over email, now you can go one of two ways. You had a good conversation, you learned a few things, and you're going to proceed with applying. Or, well, they gave me some good feedback, and I understand we're not going to be competitive. So back to the drawing board to find a new funder. Maybe I'll get to talk to that grant maker again in the future. Do you have questions about how to build grantmaker relationships, or are you looking for some resources like our free templates that we have on our website? Check out our website, look at our information on social media, and don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss any of our tips and tricks.